Hello, and thank you for joining. Welcome to another Pushing Film live stream. This is going to be just a laid back, casual chat and catch up with anyone who happens to be here live or wishing to watch this later on, which means I'll probably leave it up as long as it's not a disaster of a stream. But yeah, I just want to talk about my year in review, how 2023 has been, some things that have come up throughout my photography journey, the channel, anything personal like that, and just developments in film photography especially, and just updates basically. I said I would try and do one of these before the end of the year, and this is my last opportunity to do so, so I thought I would do it today, and yeah, here we are. But apologies in advance if I seem a little bit out of it. I had to get a tooth extracted this morning, and the lidocaine has only just worn off, so I feel a little bit out of it, and it's kind of hot. I don't have air conditioning in this room that I stream in, so apologies in advance if I seem a bit off. But yeah, let me know if you're here live. If you're in the live chat, I can see that there were a few people waiting for me to start the stream, but just to make sure everything's working all right. YouTube's saying my connection's good, which is a nice sign. But yeah, I've written a little list of notes of things that I wanted to go over during this stream, just to kind of recap on the developments in the channel first and some of the changes or evolution of things over the last year. 2023 has been an interesting year, especially when I compare it to some of the previous years in terms of how much film I've shot. Especially, I put out a poll recently on the community page on YouTube asking people how many rolls of film they'd shot, and I looked back at how many I'd shot, and it was like 35 or 40 rolls, including stuff for clients and specifically shot for the channel, which is a lot lower than any previous years, to be honest. And there's a few reasons for that. It's not just the cost of film, although that was part of it. But yeah, the channel, doing YouTube for me has become a larger portion or percentage of my work and income compared to any previous years. So that in turn could mean less time to shoot personal work to some degree. And that also means I've done less gigs and weddings and stuff like that. So if you're not already aware, I am a freelance photographer and videographer now. I've started to dabble in more video work. And yeah, as I said, 2023, I've shot less film overall, but a large part of that is because I've traveled less. So in some of the previous years, I'd gone overseas. And even the years that I hadn't gone overseas, like when there were lockdowns and whatnot, I feel like because of those reasons, I was, shooting more because there wasn't much else to do. But a big thing has been the rising costs. I've actually tried to cut down on how much I spend on film. And thanks for joining on the live chat. Alpha Beta Kill. It's so far from me. I need to wear my glasses actually to read this properly. And yeah, sorry that the chat appears a little bit wonky on the screen for anyone watching. But yeah, looking at YouTube over this last year, I've upped the production volume compared to 2022, which is good, and the consistency has been a bit better since the last year. But I still want to improve things going forward. So if you're a regular here on the channel, hopefully 2024 will continue that trend in production, frequency, quality, and consistency. And I've been enjoying it, which is great. The interviews on the channel have dropped off. I used to really enjoy doing those documentary style interviews, and even the online interviews where it's like a podcast style chat. There were a few things like that this year, but I really like doing those and I want to be able to do more of them. The problem with those oftentimes is that they take so long to make and to edit, and they take a lot of time. So it's kind of difficult without having someone else help, film or edit or both. I do everything myself normally, so I would like to bring more of those interview aspects of the channel back in the next year. And I might even employ, more help or assistance. And I've even had people volunteer to help, just for whatever experience or or part they can play in those interviews and styles of video. So I'm chatting to people, and I'm looking at doing some more interviews, even people I have in mind that I'd love to expose to more eyes. But yeah, those documentary style interviews take a lot of time to produce. I'm looking to try and get more help, because it does mean I can produce more. The Discord server, that's been going well. It's been growing slowly and steadily. I have fixed some issues with the links sometimes not working, because I think I was putting some links out there in the descriptions of some videos that weren't permanent, or they would expire for some reason. So I've fixed that issue and made it so that the links don't expire, and I've gone back and updated most recent videos to have that permanent link to the Discord server, and I put it in my link in bio from the Instagram page and so on and so forth. But yeah, that's a great place. I'm enjoying the community there, the chats, the meetups that we've been having here in Melbourne especially, and just that small community outside of the YouTube channel that has its own place where we can chat, ask for help, feedback on photos, technical advice, buy and sell. We recently did this little group buy from B&H, where we all went in on an order from there to buy some Kodak Gold and stuff like that. So I just enjoy having that aspect, the community aspect there on Discord. And if you are curious, the link should be in the description of this video. If it's not, I'll add it after I finish streaming. Next thing on my list is, this year I've worked with some great new partners and collaborations. So that plus the ongoing ones that I had already been working with before. Some of the new ones included Earth, which is a great Australian-based brand of camera filters and bags and all that. I reached out to them to ask them if they wanted to work together, and they did. And I had a video or two sponsored by them, and I enjoy what they do. So they were one of the brands. There was Nikon Australia, which was more of a collaboration. They just let me borrow their ZF for free with no expectations. And it was just in exchange for trying their new camera. And I really enjoyed that video, putting that video together and trying out the Nikon ZF. As a big fan of the old Nikon F cameras, that was one of my favorites from this year, I think, in terms of videos. And yeah, putting that together was a lot of fun. I'm actually borrowing another one from them now, because I didn't get enough time with the first one to really experience adapting manual Leica M lenses, something I really wanted to try, because I didn't have an adapter. But now I have another one, and I am specifically using it to do something with Leica M lenses. I'll talk a bit more about that later. Still no Leica sponsorship or collaboration. I don't know that they actually do many things like that, but that would be cool. Ongoing collaborations and work with sponsors like Pixpa and Artlist and others who are maybe I haven't mentioned yet or upcoming. There has also been kind of a soft launch of merch. I'm still waiting for more designs before I really talk about it in a non-live stream type video. I've been putting up links in videos, but yeah, I've started doing merch, and so far I've only got some things like this mug, and there's a hat and t-shirt and some designs that I just put together myself and had someone, do them properly. But I am working with a local friend and illustrator who is working on some designs. Sorry if the stream has been freezing up. I can't really tell from my preview. It's telling me there's still a connection, but yeah, let me know if anyone is experiencing issues with the live stream. Yeah, we've got some cool designs that are in kind of like a preliminary stage, and once they are finished, I will maybe have a chat with him and do that as a vlog, as a kind of a podcast on the channel, interview style podcast on the channel, talk about those, and kind of do more of a formal launch of that merch. It's just for fun, really, and I've been doing it through Spreadshop, which makes it so that they take care of everything and they just give me a small cut of any sales. So speaking of podcasts, I have also done kind of a soft launch of that, whereby I have put up a separate section on the YouTube channel for the audio only podcast. So you might have a video where it's an interview like the one I did with Kyle McDougall, where we had a video chat. But I also this year started a podcast so that I could put up an audio only version of things like that for people who want to listen to it through Spotify, through Apple Podcasts or Podcast Addict, whatever you might use. And there's even that podcast section on YouTube where I've started to migrate or copy over some of the interviews and stuff like that. Yeah, I am just suspecting that there is something weird going on with the YouTube side of the stream. I'm going to pause for a second here and see if... Yeah, I think it was just hanging for a bit from what I can see in my preview. And there's also been an issue with live comments. I apologize if anyone has written any live comments since the first one. I can't see anything since the first comment that someone left. This has been an ongoing thing that's been going on. Anyway, we'll see, because last time a whole bunch of live chats just showed up all at once from my end. Where were we? Podcast soft launch. Yeah, just for convenience and organization, that was a good audio only option for some people. There is the personal channel. I started that before 2023, but it's still a fun outlet that I've been posting to this year. I've really dropped off toward the second half of the year, but it's, like I intended when I first launched that, was just to be an outlet for things that didn't fit on Pushing Film, where I could talk about whatever it might be. But I'm still planning to post there coming into 2024. And it is still a fun outlet for all that personal stuff that doesn't fit in. And if it ever takes a direction, we'll see. If you want to check that out, that's also linked in the description. So let's talk about some new developments in general in the realm of film photography and related stuff. So obviously the big one this year has been the rising cost of film and also the discontinuations on certain things. But besides that, we've had shortages on a lot of cameras. Now, I know this isn't specifically film related, but it's kind of related. It's cameras like the X100V that a lot of people shoot alongside their film cameras or in replacement of film, or to kind of emulate that feel. There's been short supply on those, a lot of hype, a lot of demand for that stuff. And even when the ZF launched, there was a shortage on that, at least here in Australia. And in terms of those cameras that a lot of film shooters enjoy and find interesting, like the X series, we haven't had anything new from Fujifilm this year, like an X100V sequel or an X Pro 4 or whatever. So that hopefully means there'll be something next year. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Fujifilm does and how they will compete with the ZF, which I think isn't really what they need to do. They have their own market, but I'm still excited to see what they launch, and I'd be looking forward to trying it, because I enjoyed over the last year or two doing reviews on the X Pro 3 and on even the GFX, and I had an X100V for a while, even though I didn't do anything in terms of a review on the channel. Yeah, I'm always looking forward to seeing what they do with that X line of cameras. And hey, thanks for the comments. Okay, so you can only see the 2 comments above. Yeah, it's just weird, because when I'm seeing my preview on the YouTube interface, I'll see, for example, it was up to 8 minutes and it's just stuck and my face is frozen, and then it suddenly continues after 10 minutes. And I don't know, for example, if that's going to reflect on the actual live stream. It's hard to really know. I would need to have a separate copy of the stream running, and then I'd be looking at too many things at once to really know. So yeah, I'll just carry on and hope for the best. The next thing I wanted to mention in terms of new developments was the dropping cost of film cameras, which is, I think, a good thing. Like, it's a long time coming. Film camera and film itself and camera prices have been rising so steadily for so long that the bubble had to burst, and there had to be some regression to the mean. So what I've been noticing is that the cost of medium format cameras especially has dropped down, and it means people are struggling to sell their gear. But the reason they're struggling, I think, is that, yeah, demand has dropped, and they're still asking for prices that are from 2022, market. And yeah, the price has to go down, really. And I think that's good. It just makes it a little bit more accessible for people wanting to get into film or get into medium format, for example. There's been continuing deterioration of Fujifilm availability and options in general, and they're always really vague about discontinuations or any availability that might remain for certain stocks. And they always seem to just sneak it under the table that Fujifilm Superior 400 is just dead, really. It's never like very far in advance or clear what their intentions are. They seem to just chip away at what they have available, to the point now where I believe that they're not really producing much at all, and people are afraid they're just getting rid of whatever cold stock they have of Velvia and stuff like that, which is sad. But I'd like to be proven wrong and see them continue to produce at least something like the Fujifilm Superior line or C200 or something that they could maybe bring back. But yeah, we'll see. I'm actually going to be in Japan in February, so it'll be interesting to see how empty the shelves are there. From what I hear, even over there, you can mainly find Kodak. Next thing on my list of news and developments, some new film stocks this year. That's been exciting to see the launch of things like the Harman Phoenix 200, even though I didn't try it myself. I'm probably not going to try it anytime soon. I've seen so many reviews and I have a really clear idea, and there's no point in another opinion on the film. I wasn't one of the people who got sent anything early, so yeah. Still, I'm really happy to see that was a successful launch and that it's out there, and that it means hopefully something in the future will come out as a sequel to Harman with a new name, with some improvements, because yeah, the dynamic range seems really low. It's a bit too grainy. It's a little bit too wacky for my taste, but it's kind of interesting. I've seen some really nice results and some really unusual results. I really liked what I saw from Shoot Film Like a Boss here on YouTube and from Kyle McDougall's tests. Some of the other stuff I saw didn't really do it justice, or it wasn't down my alley. It wasn't up my alley. It didn't really look that great to me. But yeah, I'm really thankful that they did go ahead with that in 2023. But there were also some other new films, like from Orwo, the Wolfen 400 and 500, I believe one of them might have been this year. If not, it was pretty recent. And then Ferrania with their new film, and probably some others that I'm forgetting, which is good because there's also the 800T and all the variants of the Kodak Vision films. There's been further kind of democratization of that Cinefilm without Remjet grouping of films, because you know there was already CineStill and a couple of others for a while, but I like that there's been access obviously given to smaller and even some independent producers that can now sell these 500T, 400D, 250D, whatever films in their own packaging, and just democratize and make the film more accessible. And yeah, despite the best efforts of CineStill to try and prevent that through means that I don't really like, to be honest. But yeah, it's just been good to see like all the new variants, especially here locally. We've got like small labs like Mr. Negative and even Halide Supply. They have their own versions of this film, which is good for the local community because they can just walk in, buy it for a much cheaper price. It's available more often. They can get it processed at that lab, support local businesses, and help keep film alive. All right. Next thing I want to talk about was just some upcoming things, like some trips and ongoing work that I have been sitting on over the last year. The last major overseas trip I did was in late 2022. We did a smaller overseas trip in mid this year to New Zealand, mainly for snowboarding, and I did produce a couple of videos during that trip, but it wasn't a major overseas trip. So the next one of those will be in February 2024, so not long now. I'm going to be going to Vietnam for the first time, and then to Japan, somewhere I haven't been for 5 years, since 2018, and then also to Bangladesh again at the end of that trip. So that'll be exciting to do that. And obviously there'll be a lot of photography during that trip in each of the countries. So if you're familiar with what I've been talking about in terms of work, sorry, I'm really out of it. I think it was the painkillers I took after getting this tooth extraction. If you want to see it, look at that. I've got a big old tooth missing, and I had to get all the lidocaine put in this morning. Yeah, I've been working on some photo series on a zine. And sorry if that grossed anyone out, by the way. I should have maybe put a disclaimer up. Yeah, my last zine was a sun-dried strip from a few years ago now. But since then, I've been accumulating work to put out more zines and a book. So there's actually a few things I've been working on. I did initially say I wanted to launch some of those by the end of this year. Unfortunately, obviously that hasn't happened. I've had to delay those, and not that I gave a real promise or a date or a pre-order or anything. I was just hoping to have something out, but it just came to the point where I felt like I needed more work for pretty much all 2 or 3 things I want to put out. One of which is a black and white street photography book. I've been trying to decide between a zine and a book for this body of work that I'm sitting on. And I'm starting to lean more towards a book, like an actual hardcover book. And that means more difficulty and cost. And it also means that I probably need a bit more work than what I have so far. So I'm going to wait until this next holiday to shoot a little bit more and then go to the next steps from there. There's also another color zine that I have been wanting to put out. And that one is pretty much ready in terms of the photos. I just haven't gotten around to designing it. And there might be a couple more things I'll add to it, but I pretty much have all the photos I need for that. And just to give you an idea, I'll bring up my website where I have some photos that might appear in this zine. But it's the working title is called Mediterranean Downtime, and it's going to be a color zine. So it's not obviously all these photos, but it's stuff like this, just to give you an idea. It's photos taken in and around the Mediterranean from a trip in 2022 when we went to Turkey and Italy and Lebanon and Greece. And I shot a fair bit of color work that I feel like would work well together to put together a little zine, at least similar to the sun-dried strip, but with a bit more focus on this sort of documentary style. And yeah, that'll be fun to put that together. Yeah, and it might have, photos like this. And this one here from Antalya, I think. So yeah, that's what that will be. And then I also have another zine that will be mixed black and white and color street photography work from here in Australia, mainly Melbourne. So to give you an idea of the kind of stuff that will be in that, it's kind of like this photo here. So it focuses on youth culture, on like kind of Australiana beach alcohol culture and that kind of thing. I don't have a title for it yet. The working title for it is Jet Fueled, so I don't know what the final title will be, but this is the kind of work that'll be in that one. This one also needs more work. I wasn't ready to put that out yet because I printed out all my proofs. I tried to edit them down and I felt like I didn't have quite enough to put together a cohesive zine. So yeah, this one relies on shooting over the summer periods. So I usually have to wait for each summer. I've been shooting this over the course of a few years now. And I think after this summer, so it's currently summer in Australia, if you can't tell from my sweat, it should be ready by, let's say, mid 2024 to late 2024 sometime. So yeah, that's jet fueled. Let's catch up on some live chat. It's been crystal clear. Oh, cool. So the live stream, I assume, has been good. Good to know. Who do you go through to produce your zines and books? I've only produced one zine, and that one I went through Mixam, and that was a good experience. When it comes to the actual book, I might have to connect with some local printers and look into that. I don't really have a go-to for that. And for my next zines, I might just go with Mixam again. I was pretty happy with my experience last time. So unless I have a need to go with a different company, I might go with them again, but we'll see. When you travel, do you set yourself different projects within each country? Yeah, kind of a bit of both. Like if I know that I'm going to be shooting a lot of a certain genre of photography, be it color, landscapes or something, I try and focus in on that, and I try and shoot film stocks or lenses or whatever it might be to suit that subject matter. Whereas I might be also working on this series, which is black and white documentary style stuff for the black and white book I'm talking about. And for that, I might shoot a different camera. It's all pretty much on my Leica using 35 and 28mm lenses, black and white film, pretty much all HP5 and maybe some Kentmere 400 thrown in. And yeah, I do intentionally get into a mindset to look for certain shots when I know I have something in mind. Otherwise, I just shoot whatever I find interesting. And even if I am working on a certain series, it doesn't mean I'll ignore opportunities for photos that don't fit into that working series. So hopefully that makes some kind of sense. Because first and foremost, you want to enjoy your travels and make sure you're present in the moment and observing and taking in whatever interests you and photographing it. But yeah, you're saying you traveled to Cambodia and shot a project on people working. Yeah, that's awesome. So then you'd have a keen eye for people working, and you'd always be, your radar would be turned on to pay more attention to people working. Is that a good photo opportunity? Should I approach this person and say, hey, can I take your photo while you're working, and whatnot? So that'd be really cool to have that in mind. I think it helps. I think it helps you have something to aim for when you're traveling. But even if you're not, it's traveling is just fun as it is. All right. So yeah, that's everything that I've been working on, ongoing work that will get pushed into 2024. I don't know if all of it will be ready by the end of 2024, but at least some of it will be ready, if not all of it. And I'm really looking forward to having another print project out again. So next thing I was going to talk about was just, any significant items or purchases over 2023. And to be honest with you, there hasn't been much. This is the year I've probably bought the least in terms of gear and film. And that can be a good thing, to be honest, because when you feel like you have enough, which I largely do, there's no reason to spend money unnecessarily. There's always a temptation. I always have that, the gas, gear acquisition syndrome, but I'm pretty good at resisting it most of the time. So things that I have purchased in terms of lenses or cameras, there has only been one thing, to be honest. I haven't bought any new cameras this year. I've bought one lens. It was a secondhand lens from eBay. It's the Pentax 645 55mm. So I don't know if it'll focus in on it there, but you know what a lens looks like. Yeah, cool focus there. It's a 45mm 2.8, and that's the equivalent of about a 28mm lens. And I really like this lens. I've started to use it for things where I want that wider field of view, and it's encouraged me to even try taking this onto the streets more, because I traveled with it in 2022, like I mentioned, to Turkey and Middle East and all that. And I had the 75mm, which was great because that lens is tiny. But then I thought, how good would it be to have an even wider lens, given the aspect ratio of 4:3? It would be good for that kind of documentary work. So yeah, I might even do a video on the channel in the future about shooting street on medium format camera, something that I think is a little bit left of field and interesting and a bit just kind of silly to do, but it results in some really nice photos. So yeah, that's the only major gear related item I've bought. So normally what I like talking about on this channel in terms of acquisition besides that is books, photo books. So also I haven't purchased many photo books this year. I think it's just been a bit of a frugal year, and that I've kind of collected most of the books that I had on my wish list. So now I'm just kind of looking at things that I'm really interested in that might come out, and I'm also trying to curb my spending. But there have been a few photo book purchases this year. So one of the earlier ones was An American Mile by Kyle McDougall, YouTuber who you might be very well aware of. And I did an interview with him on the channel this year about the launch of this book. So if you want more on that, I won't go through it right now. Just check out that video. Go onto the playlist section of the channel and look for the interviews playlist. You'll find my interview with him there and all the information about the book. And I think I even did a book sharing live stream. I can't remember now, but yeah, if you look it up on the channel, you'll find out. The next photo book I bought, actually, I did a little order for a couple of photo books. I don't have one of them with me right now, but there is one that I do have with me, and that's called Lost in LA by Christopher Thomas. This has a lot of really nice black and white 4x5, like large format Polaroid work. So I'll give you a quick idea of what you can expect from that. But your shoulder mounted book here. It's all like printed to the edges, Polaroid style things. So I might do a book sharing live stream on that sometime down the track once I've had a good few looks through it. What next? I was really looking forward to this one. This one is Monument by Trent Park. So if you're a fan of Trent Park like I am, you'll know all about his work. And if you're not, it's some really great black and white street photography work from Sydney in, it wasn't the early 2000s, but it might span from around the early 2000s till somewhere around the 2010s. But yeah, I'm a big fan of his work. Not ready to do a video on this one yet. I still feel like I need more time with it, but I should hopefully do a book sharing live stream on this one in the future. This one is an expensive book, by the way. When I bought it, I pre-ordered. It was a fair bit cheaper, but it was still the most I'd ever spent on a photo book, and that was about 120 Australian dollars, I think, what I paid. Now it's up to 143 or something like that. But if you are interested, I put a link to it in the description. Next one was, so let's go into zines. So no more photo books per se, but I have a couple of, book/zines. One of them you might recognize from earlier in the year. I did a video on it, a live stream, and that was the Noise Mag book. It was their first edition photo book, which the subtitle is Minimal Comic Play. They have an Instagram page where they repost work, and this was a collaborative collection of people's work. This isn't necessarily shot on film, but it's a nice photo book that I did a video on. If you want to find out more about that, there's a link in the description, and you can also see the video I did. Next one that I have, and this was a recent pickup, it is the Our Stories on Film zine/book. This is a fairly well constructed zine, almost just borders on a kind of a light cover book. But if you are familiar with the channel, I did an interview with Joey Chan, who started the group called Our Stories on Film. It's for photography by female and non-binary photographers. So really well designed zine. Came with this little postcard, which has like a Sunny 16 thing on the back. And some nice photography within. I won't spoil it all, but I'll just give you an idea of the design of the book and some of the contents. Again, this is another collaborative work with each of the photographers listed next to the relevant sections. So if you want more on that, you can either check out the interview I did with Joey about a year or two ago when she was still planning the first edition. This is the second edition. And if you want to buy a copy of this or the first edition or both, there is a link in the description to the Our Stories on Film website. So check it out. It's a great collection, and it's a good group if you're looking to join them. They have a Discord group as well, but head to Joey's website. All the information's there, and you can find out more. Cool. So that's pretty much it in terms of my little list of notes. I think I'll just read some comments. Hey, Alex is here. Live stream machine. Yeah. I felt like I semi-promised to do an end of year stream to round up the year in review. So it was something good to do while at home today, but now I'm starting to feel the heat building up. Simopics. I bought Forms of Japan. Yeah, I've heard of that book by Michael Kenner. I can highly recommend it. I've had that on my list actually for a little while. And yeah, where did you get it? I don't think I was able to find a good price on it, but maybe I haven't checked for a while. But I have had that on my list. I think someone mentioned it on a live stream previously. But yeah, what's everyone been up to? Does anyone have any travel plans or plans for New Year's? How was your Christmas? If you did anything for that, let me know in the live chat how you've been, what your year has been like in a nutshell. Have you shot a lot of film? I put out a question on the community page about how many rolls you think you've shot over 2023. And like I said, I shot about 40, which was the lowest I think I've shot since 2014 or 13 or something like that, when I was first getting back into film. But yeah, if you're watching this on the replay, feel free to drop it in the comments. I'm always interested to hear what you've been up to, and also what you have in terms of suggestions for the channel, what you would like to see coming up in 2024. What have been your thoughts on 2023, and anything really, let me know. And while I wrap up, I'll just quickly show you some of the websites. If I missed any websites or links that you're after, just ask me. I think I put in most of them. I might not have put Lost in LA, but the rest should be there. I'll add them later if I can. This is the page for An American Mile. This one's sold on Subjectively Objective's website. So that's Kyle McDougall's book. Here's Monument. So yeah, like I said, it went up to 143 now. It's pretty pricey, but it's a really unique book. Leather bound. It's pretty big. Yeah, it's quite an audacious production, I would say. It's really, yeah, like original and unique to the point where, yeah, some people may not like it. It's very abstract, but if you're a big fan of Trent Parks' work, you'll probably still like it. But I wish that I could still get a copy of Dream Life or Minutes to Midnight for a decent price, because I would love to have those two books as their own, as part of the collection. The other one I mentioned was Nice Mag, so this one has a website. You can check that out. I'm not sure if that book is still available, but you can find out here in the shop, I guess. But this is a really interesting and eclectic collection of work from various photographers. Quite enjoyable if you like street photography especially. Yeah, so number one is still available. Price $64, it's pretty decent. And the Our Stories on Film website that I mentioned, there's a link for that. There's volume 2, the one that I just showed you. I've spoken about volume 1 on the channel before. That one's sold out, but you can still get a copy of volume 2 if you're interested in that. Cool. So I think I'll wrap up there. I don't see any live comments. Again, I mentioned that there's a bit of a delay sometimes with live comments coming through, so I apologize if you did type anything and it hasn't shown up on my end. But yeah, thank you for joining today. Again, sorry that if I'm a bit tired or out of it, and I'm really looking forward to some of the videos I have for 2024. Yeah, I just remembered one thing I told you I would touch on was the ZF I mentioned I was borrowing. The lenses I'm trying on it are actually the new Samira lenses, the Thypoc 28mm and 35mm. I have a copy of each, and I'm currently testing them on the ZF and on my Leica MA as well, but I'll be doing a video quite soon on my thoughts on the 28mm especially. So I'm going to do a separate video for the 28mm, mainly shooting that on the ZF, and give some thoughts on the 35 as well. But then I'll also be using these lenses, or at least one of them, for my travels and for some of my street work to get an idea of how they perform on film, which takes a bit longer. So yeah, if you're interested in that, keep an eye on that for on the channel. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining once again. Hope you all have a great new year and stay safe. Don't party too hard if that's your thing. And I'll see you in 2024. All right. Have a good one.